Hello, and welcome back to the Ask the Color Expert podcast. Today's special guest is Amie Migirova. I'm trying to say that exotically. Did I do okay?
Migirova, yes.
Migirova. She is the owner of Amie Justine Salon in Louisville, Kentucky, and she just had a wonderful article in Inc. magazine that she is tops in education and an elite experience for guests and employees. And I love that it says guests and employees, and I want to dive deeper into that. And she is also, her salon is extension and blonding specialist. So welcome, Amie. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
So that's an amazing accomplishment. Inc. magazine is a big deal. And you don't hear of many salons being featured in a magazine that's so business and so serious. So congrats on that for sure. Right before we hit record, I said to Amie, man, you picked the two best specialties right now. And, it's 2022 and everyone and their mother has extensions and everybody wants to be off the scales blonde. So what a time to be an extension and blonding specialist. But let's back up for a minute to the Inc. magazine thing where it says education and elite experience for guests and employees. I think most salon owners, myself included, are always so hyper-focused on the guest experience and the guest, and it's all about the guest. And we forget that our employees are human beings that need to be loved and appreciated and nurtured too. So I love that it says both. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think our philosophy is that, if our employees are happy, our stylists are happy, and they're happy, they're being able to create that happy guest experience, then, that shines through to our guests. And it's been proven, in our salon, we have people comment all the time about, wow, you guys just work really well together. It seems like everyone really enjoys being, here at work or, just something to that effect. And that's kind of the vibe that we want to set, because then it creates, less tension in the salon. As we know, salons are kind of known to be catty, and, a bunch of people getting together is always hard on a daily basis. But we try to create the environment that everyone's happy at work. And then that in turn makes it a little bit easier on our guests. They see that. And then if they're happy, they keep coming back.
I love that because it is so palpable, the energy in a salon when something's not right. I can look back at any time we had an employee that wasn't working out and there was tension among the employees, the clients would always comment, something going on. There's like a weird vibe in here today. Like they can feel it. We think that we're putting on this big act that everything's perfect, but they see right through it. And there's nothing worse than an uncomfortable environment. I just went to have my nails done last week. And I've seen it coming that I have to find a new nail salon. Like there's been a lot of weird dysfunctional things going on. And I'm just like, oh, but she does such a good job on my nails. Sometimes we put up with a lot as consumers in businesses because we like the final product, but it starts to wear on you when the experience is not what you expect it. You leave just having that ick feeling. Like the last time I left, I was like, I think that's it. I think I really have to find someone else because it was so unprofessional. Everything that was going on was unprofessional. And I think as a salon owner, it glares at me even more than, someone who doesn't own a salon. So I'm like, I can't educate people and share the importance of professionalism and then put myself in this position when I am on the consumer side of things. So yeah, it's so important. And that's so amazing that, you're always top of mind thinking about your employees. Extensions, to me, I've gone to every hair show under the sun. I teach at a lot of the hair shows, and I always am curious enough to walk over to the packed, crowded extension booths. And there's always one company that has a line wrapped around the show. And they all look the same, right? Because I don't do extensions. So I'm like, why is that company so much more crowded? What are they doing that's different? So when you chose to specialize in that, did you go through a bunch of different companies before you found the one that you now love?
Are you speaking of education? Or are you speaking of the hair in general?
The actual hair, like the whole thing, like why you pick the brand that you're putting on the
heads. So actually that's a great topic to talk about because I've been doing extensions for 10, 11 plus years. And I've kind of been through them all. Just trying to find that perfect, perfect hair, perfect experience. I'm certified in so many different methods, different brands, I have color swatches galore from every brand out there. And honestly, when I started doing hand-tied extensions about 5 or 6 years ago, I started using the brand that the company that I got, certified in first with hand-tied extensions, the one that they use, the one that they recommended. And it kind of was like just a rush of people using that specific brand. And when they were recommending it, maybe it was really top tier and high quality, but the more people that were using it, and as hand tie became super popular, it kind of just went downhill. And I noticed it, my clients noticed it, and it just got to a point where I was just like, I have got to find something else. So I've tried more and more and more brands, and I kept having issues with it. So I actually did do the research, and I actually did start manufacturing my own hair. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I have a brand, it's called Mint Beauty Extensions. And that's solely what we use here in the salon for hand-tied extensions.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. How do you even begin to do a project like that?
It was a lot of work.
Imagine.
Yeah. But I had to,
that's impressive though. Yeah. Hey, it's
so many
if they're not
extensions.
going to provide it for you, then you have to make it yourself. So well, for people who are listening as a podcast, they can't see how young and beautiful you are, but you are a young girl. Like, you've accomplished a lot in a short amount of time. Where did all of this feistiness and passion come from at such a young age?
Well, I did get into hair at a really young age. And then also I have a lot of support. It's not just me. I have, our salon manager, Adele. She is way more feistier, way more passionate than I am. And then, also my husband, he does a lot to help me on the back end to, push the brand forward. So really, it's all about support and the people that you have in your life. It's not, it doesn't just come from one person. I'm sure there are, stylists and salon owners out there that are able to accomplish a lot on their own. But also you always have to have great support on the back end as well.
That's awesome. Well, it wouldn't be an Ask the Color Expert podcast without talking about color. So I have never been asked or in a position to color extensions because we didn't do extensions in the salon. But from being an educator and from having a lot of questions come my way, I've seen a lot of people have a lot of oopses when coloring extensions. So is there a whole different process or learning curve as far as glazing extensions to match someone's hair than there is with, I know it's human hair, but what is the difference between an extension and regular hair when it comes to color?
Yeah, I've actually been really fortunate that I've been doing extensions for a long time before they became as amazing as they are now. Because I got a lot of that, trial and error down before it became what it is today. So when I first started doing it, the expectations were not there like they are now, and so that really helped me. There isn't really a whole lot of education out there for coloring extension.
I agree. Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's a gap in the industry. It's getting better, but I feel like there's definitely a need for training in that. But what I have found is that just with my personal knowledge and sharing that with my team, hair extensions are very unpredictable, especially if you're not working with a great brand of hair, something that's very high quality, something that doesn't use silicones, just different things like that. But yeah, so the struggle with extensions is you're gonna go a little bit cooler. So you have to definitely use more warmth in your tones, even if you want a neutral or cool base. You definitely have to use some warmth in your formula. So that's definitely a big one. And then also it is very easy for extensions to take darker than the level that you're using. So to play it safe, you can always go a level lighter or, just really watch them. I think that's the main thing is you can't just walk away and leave your extensions with whatever color you put on them. It's real human hair. Everybody's hair is different. You can have top grade hair, minimal processing or, whatever it is that's going on when they're being made. But still, different hair from different people, right? So it's every single piece is going to take differently. So you really have to just watch it. You have to be there to monitor the color.
That makes total sense. I know I have a friend who has a hair replacement business where she does those fill-in pieces, either sewn in or just temporary where they clip in. And I
Yeah.
remember being at her salon and watching her color someone's piece, and she was dipping it in a sink, and she had all these drops of things that it wasn't even regular hair color. It was like
Yeah.
all these other things. And I was like, wow, they barely can get us ready to pass the boards in beauty school, right? So they're not
Yeah.
getting into any of that. And to your
Absolutely.
point, when you come out of school and you want to get into these things, it's almost like you're out there on your own and you just have to figure it the heck out.
Yeah.
I've interviewed other people who do wigs and hair replacement, and it's fascinating how different everything is in that realm. For me, I know the expensive extensions. So if a client were to come in and hand me her bag of hair and say, can you please color these? I would be, even though I'm so confident in hair color, I would think, oh my gosh, this is $1,200 hair. If I mess this up and she's unhappy, that's on me.
Yeah.
So that's a huge responsibility that,
Yeah.
it can't be
See,
taken lightly.
yeah, we actually, we used to do that in the salon where if someone had, say they had a halo or, extensions from somewhere else, that we would custom color it. And we actually decided to stop doing that because it is such a huge responsibility and you just really can't predict, especially hair that you're not familiar with, having the mint hair, that's what we use all the time, every day in the salon. We're used to how it colors. And so, even though, like I said earlier, things are very unpredictable with extensions, you at least have some idea what you're doing. Whereas if you're working with a brand that you're not familiar with, or a grade of hair that is, different from what you're used to working with, it's very difficult to color that and know exactly what you're doing. So we
I
don't
agree.
do that anymore.
I do those. I'm a big proponent of swatching and really getting to know your color line. And because of that, that's as close as I come to your world of extensions. I've gotten several different brands. Like this is a very inexpensive brand of swatch, and you can see how frazzly it is. And it's like, if it doesn't even, I wonder if it's even real hair. I think it's high quality synthetic, pawned off as real hair. And then this is like absolutely real hair. It's got the gray in there. It's really high quality, but the difference in price between the two of these is significantly more. And when you're ordering it, like when you create your own line of extensions, when you're ordering it, you're trusting that they're saying what it is and the quality it is. And as you know, the minimum quantity that you have to order is so much, and it's such an expense that you're like doing the, please be telling me the truth, because I'm going to have a whole lot of crap hair on my hands.
Yeah.
And the difference in coloring these, I did an entire class on the Redken Shades EQ line, and like, everybody's complaining that everything's going silver and gray. And I'm like, yes, there's high porosity at these lighter levels. And those colors are meant to take away brassiness at lower levels, and you have to account for that. But the difference between the different levels of swatches was like night and day in the color thing. So I don't blame you for not wanting to take on other brands' quality. Now with your line, how do you promote that? How do you get other salons to know about you?
So we have, of course, our website, and it's mentbeautyextensions.com.
How do you spell it? Is it MEANT, Ment?
Yeah. Yes. And then, so basically, you have to sign up. You can't just log in and see the hair or see the pricing or anything until you enter your information. And then we do professionals only. A lot of extension companies sell to the consumer as well as professionals. We do not do that. So just on our website, you have to sign up, and then you'll get a login.
And have you done any of the shows or anything? Or are you keeping it?
No, we're keeping it, pretty small as of right now. We have not done any hair shows or anything like that.
And how about training? Do you also offer the application training, because it's a whole different technique?
So we do not have an application as far as the actual method training, but we're working on other trainings such as color. But we don't have a definite date for that yet. We're still in the
Okay.
process of working on.
In your spare time, you don't have anything else going on?
Yes, in my infinite spare time.
How many stylists do you have in your salon?
There are 7.
7. That's a
Yeah.
nice size. I
Yeah.
found the trend to be recently, especially it was more pre-COVID, I think. I've had a salon for 32 years and I've had 20 people at one time, and I've had 2 people at one time, and I've had everywhere in between. And what I found, which most people don't realize, is that the profit of having 20 is not 20 times greater than the profit of having 2.
Yeah.
Everything just becomes more expensive, more chaotic, more everything. But I think that with the trend of solo suites and all of that becoming more, customary everywhere in the United States. I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't live there now, but in Pennsylvania, you couldn't do that. So everyone had to work at a commission salon, but everything has really, really changed over the last 3 years. And I think that the size that you have is now considered a large salon.
Yeah.
It used to be that was an in between. It wasn't boutique-y and it wasn't big. And the in between was starting to fall off. It was either the small guys combined with a medium guy and became a big guy. There was a lot of collaborative stuff going on in like I would say early 2000s, because the middle was just like not hanging in there. Prices were getting too high for rent and all of the things to have a profit in that middle. But I'm predicting that the middle is going to be the new large post-COVID.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was just talking to somebody the other day and they've had a business. They signed the lease right before COVID hit. They've maintained it the entire time in COVID, have done nothing with it. They're paying for a building for now 3 years.
Wow.
And I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, how do you dig out of that? It's like unprecedented what everyone had to go through. And I guess everybody has their way of surviving it. And she's just hanging in there and hoping that it'll pick up speed once everything gets back to, I can't even say normal because there is no normal.
Yeah.
But what was your business like during that? Like, were you able to keep going with at least selling the extensions, or like, how did you sustain yourself during that time?
Yeah, we were closed down for 10 weeks. So it was a pretty long while. We were still able to sell products and ship them out to our guests and things like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, just like most salons, in the US, we were just closed for business. We had clients texting us, calling us, hey, what about
trying to meet you in an alley?
Yeah.
Meet me in the alley down the street, throw my extensions in.
Yes. And, or even, hey, my extensions are so grown out. What can I do? I don't want to have to take them out.
Yeah.
But what do I do? Move ups are every 6 to 8 weeks. So we were closed for 10 weeks, and only those who were able to get in, the week prior to lockdown was, the ones that were able to come back in with extensions in when we opened up again, and they were severely grown out. And then others, I actually had to make a video to send to a lot of our guests that were, hey, I need to take my extensions out. What do I do? And I made a video. This is how you do it safely. So, we try to do our best to help where we could, within the confines of shutdown or lockdown. But, at that point, it was just kind of, we had to just keep going the best we could without, really making any money in the salon.
Yeah. I found that a lot of people who were just average colorists that were getting by and doing the bare minimum were faced with issues they never could have predicted because of, to your point, of the grow out of 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
When those clients came in, that's no longer a standard retouch. That's a corrective color. And most salons were doing the standard retouch and they're putting it on a section this big. And then there's all this wonky, hot root looking results and banding and all these things. And I'm like, where were you for that chapter on, when it grows out that far? But it's been so long since anybody had to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So for me, I almost had like a little bit of survivor guilt during COVID because I had just got the ball running with my virtual education, and things were picking up. And then COVID, everyone was home. So everyone was like, I might as well take a class because I'm sitting home. So I felt bad because those were the best 2 years of, this part of my life where I met all these
Yeah,
amazing hairdressers, and I was able to collaborate with all these other famous hairdressers that would never normally answer an email from me. I'm reaching out to them saying,
amazing.
hey, let's do a pop-up class, and, let's do a summit. Let's do this. I did a whole 2-day virtual hair show, and every single person I asked said yes, because everybody was home.
Mhm.
So while it was a really shitty situation and I wouldn't want it to happen again, I think that every single person on this earth took a quick step back and said, am I doing and living the way that I really want to? Or is this a time for reinvention? There's so much reinvention. So what would you say is like the one thing that you will never go back to doing that you're doing differently as a result of having that 10 weeks?
Yeah, actually, kind of what you were saying, it really pushed our, salon forward. When before lockdown, we were really busy. And then as soon as we opened back up again, it was just like the floodgates opened, like you couldn't work enough
Right.
to get
To
everybody
catch up.
in. Like
Yeah.
the catch up was just tremendous. And we also had to work within the restrictions here. And so that was hard because we were at 50% capacity. So trying to get everybody in, it was just really difficult. And it became kind of like we need to change, or we're gonna drown, I know that sounds like a great thing, maybe for some people, drowning in clients. But honestly, like every one of our employees were just kind of exhausted, including myself. I'm behind the chair as well. And it's just exhausting to like just try to keep up with that pace for months on end. So we actually transitioned at that point into no longer doing certain services. And that really just completely jumped the business. So we only do color and extensions now. We don't do any kind of single service coloring, and we do not do, just basic haircuts, men's cuts, children's cuts, anything like that. So it's dimensional color and extensions. And once we did that, it was like a relief.
Yeah, that's so
Honestly.
smart. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm all about specializing, and that's what I teach in my program. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't be doing, little Johnny spinning around in the chair with the hairy taffy and the updos and the waxing and the,
Yeah.
straightening and all of the things, because you're always going to be running around from chair to chair and trying to keep everybody going. And there's no such thing as squeeze in, even though we say we'll squeeze you in. There's no squeezing in.
Yeah.
There's only so many minutes in a day. But that's like a whole other level of specialization. I love that. It's like, this is what we do. This is what we're great at. Even Inc. magazine says so. So we're going to stick to what we're good at. And, we're going to be thriving in that area. And the people that come to work for you are also people that are passionate in that area. So there's nobody doing something that they absolutely dread every day.
Yes, exactly. And all of our education focuses on those things. So, we're truly specializing in these things, and, we're not teaching, pixie cuts, and then turning around and only doing extensions, right? So it really helps, just all around keep everything just very focused. And then, that's how you become amazing at what you do, is if you just focus on one thing.
So that was your gift of the COVID pandemic. You did that after all of that?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You did that after everybody went back?
Yeah, once we opened up again, a couple months after we opened, we just realized that, it just wasn't working, trying to do everything. And, unfortunately, a lot of salons went out of business during that time, and a lot of stylists maybe found other careers at that time. And so not only did we have all of our regular guests that we had to catch up with, but now we were like just swarmed with more and more. So yeah, when we had to implement that specifically.
This is really a great time to be in the hair industry for that reason. There's a major shortage of stylists. There's an overflow of clients. Anyone who, goes on social media and says, I'm so slow, I say to them, take a look inward and see what's going on. Either you're not passionate and you're in there going through the motions and it's showing, you're not motivated, you're not really loving what you do, or there's something you have to brush up on education wise, because there are clients, just to your point of salons closing, people are salon homeless. They're like drifting around looking for their new home.
Yes.
And if your skill level isn't where it should be, take this time when you're slow, instead of, I always say people have a slow day and they run to Marshall's or Starbucks or, oh, I'm going to go shopping, I have a free day. And it's like, not the best use of your time if you're already not making money going shopping. So
yes.
Education 100% is the key to all success. And I am just so impressed by you. I have enjoyed every minute of this conversation. You're amazing. I love that you just continue to pivot. You see a problem, you're like, extensions stink, I'll make my own. Then you have your own, you get busy, you're overwhelmed. You're like, okay, we don't need to do haircuts. We don't need to be everything to everybody. We're going to be this. So kudos to you. That is amazing. And most people live in such fear of any change that they couldn't even imagine making all the changes that you did. So I hope that everyone listening right now is paying attention to the fact that you are not a tree. You are not stuck in any salon or any home or any location. A lot of people will blame their location. They'll blame their spouse. They'll blame their schedule. They'll blame their kids. They always blame everything. But anything is possible when you put your mind to it, and you are showing all of us that and showing us well, and you are a treasure. So how do people listening get in touch with you? Because I know I'm going to have a million questions about what we talked about. What's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, following us on social media, just at Amie Justine Salon on all platforms. And then email is really good. We have contact@amiejustinesalon.com. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or to send a link to our Mint Beauty extensions as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. This was a pleasure.
Thank you so much as well. It was awesome chatting with you.
And thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next one.